All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to this episode of the Balance Your Business series from System Solved. So today I am going into something with Mackenzie that most people tend to discount. So there's a little known hack that many business owners are overlooking. And so when you're going out there, you are, as Mackenzie put it, from the movie Dirty Dancing, don't nobody puts baby in a corner. And right now, that's what you're doing if you're missing out on this opportunity. So, what is this missed opportunity that you are not using? It is Pinterest. And so many people think that Pinterest is just simply, for moms looking for recipes and home decorating tips. And it's so much more than that. So today I'm going to talk to Mackenzie about how to use Pinterest to grow your audience and really use it to pack your courses. So thank you so much for joining me, Mackenzie.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to chat about Pinterest. It is all that I do, so I'm super excited.
So I'm curious, like, how did you get to this point of using Pinterest for your business? I guess that's the first thing.
For sure. In a previous life, I was a teacher and decided that I wanted to stay home and dabbled in the VA life and really just found that I wasn't a fan of social media. I never was on social media when I was younger, just as like an active user.
Hmm.
And I don't like the the time it takes to really be on there, as well as like the time commitment of like having to engage and things like that. So I really niche down into Pinterest because, contrary to popular belief, Pinterest isn't social media. Pinterest is actually a visual search engine.
Right.
So you're able to add content to Pinterest that adds longevity and searchability to your content, which is great because if you're putting out content and your audience isn't ready to receive it, it's still on Pinterest, it's still on the platform that's still searchable. So you can still bring in people to your content even after it's evergreen. It's not fresh. It's something that the content is still useful, but it wasn't something that was just released. So it really adds that longevity to your content, which helps you bring in a wider audience and really show your authority.
I absolutely love that. So, why do you think people are missing out on this opportunity? Is it because we're so conditioned to use Facebook and Twitter and Instagram? Like, what's the deal?
So I think it's the fact that yes, everybody wants to be on social media, which yes, social media is important for your marketing, and I'm not discounting that. But and Facebook and Instagram and things like that really they give you the opportunity to like engage with your audience. But you have to that takes a lot of work.
It does.
Whereas you're searching for the people to talk to. Whereas with Pinterest, you're able to bring people in with your content. And also I think that because Pinterest adds such longevity to your content, but that also means that it takes a little bit longer to build. So I feel like people are like, oh, if I don't get that instant gratification, then it's not worth my time. But in terms of, yes, you have that large Facebook and Instagram audience, but if Facebook and Instagram crash, you've lost your entire audience. Whereas Pinterest, it might take longer for you to grow, but you're grabbing their attention and you're actually able to pull their email addresses. So you're able to build your email list. And then once you have that email list, that's yours. You have ownership of that, whereas you don't have ownership of Facebook and Instagram posts and things like that.
Yeah,
So,
I think that's a huge thing that people need to recognize. Like, it's great to be able to engage with your audience on social media. That is absolutely wonderful. You definitely want to nurture your audience, let them get to know, like, and trust you in that way. But like you said, you don't own that information. So if Facebook, yes, if they crash, but also they have a habit of locking people out of their accounts. And if you built your entire business on this one platform, you are going to be totally screwed if something like that happens because you don't have a way of, you know, backing that up in that particular moment. So who can use Pinterest for their business? Because I know that there are some people, like I said before, they think it's for one particular set of people. So can you tell us who can use Pinterest?
For sure. So Pinterest has this stereotypical feel of like you are only on Pinterest. Pinterest is for moms that are looking for birthday party ideas or
Mhm.
nurseries, or like you're looking for recipes, which yes, all of those things are on there and that's all awesome information and DIY projects. But especially post COVID, people are in that, oh crap, I don't know what's going to happen, like things could hit the fan again. And that's really broadened the ability of Pinterest with this aspect of businesses are on Pinterest. You're able to go there and learn how to grow your business, or you're able to go and learn how to do marketing, or even wellness. Being locked in the house for what, 2 years, people are wanting to grow their mindfulness and their wellness. So all of those things, if you think of it like Pinterest is very well rounded. So if you have content that you want to share, then it has a place on Pinterest. So mainly what I say is the one thing that you need for Pinterest or to grow your Pinterest account is that you want to have some type of content going out regularly. And that could be blog posts, that could be podcasts, that could be YouTube videos. Now, with YouTube videos, Pinterest really likes to see content from your own personal website or business website. So if you were to do what YouTube videos, then I would embed those YouTube videos onto your website as a blog post page, and
Mm,
then you can send it out that way, because in that way it's getting people from or Pinterest to your website, and then you can start to nurture them. You can get them onto your lead magnet. You can get them into your email list. So, and think of anything that has a URL, a pin can be created for it. I mean, people even like for some of my clients, if they have like a viral Instagram post, I might create a a pin for that Instagram post. And that's okay to do that. It's just you don't want to just heavily rely on third party websites because technically you don't own them.
right.
And then you don't get the analytics from that. So you don't get to really see the nitty gritty of who your audience is. And the most amazing thing about Pinterest is that, so first, 400 million people around the world come to Pinterest monthly. So by you putting your content on there, you're really able to grow your audience, and also you can maybe even tap into an audience that you didn't even know would benefit from your content. So you're
So
really
true.
able to grow it. And Pinterest's main goal is that it wants to inspire people. Pinterest wants to inspire its users to grow in whatever way that they're wanting to lead their lives, whether it's wellness, fitness, whether it's business, or
Mhm.
that recipe and things like that. So they want to inspire their users, and Pinterest is all about going from Pinterest to your website. They want to inspire you, so they want to send you off on your way to that content that's really going to help you. So, contrary to other platforms like Facebook and Instagram wants you to stay on their platform, Pinterest promotes you going and leaving the platform to go to those websites so you can really learn and grow as a person.
I love that. And while I've used Pinterest for several different things, obviously, I never put that connection together, like the difference between, the ones that want to lock you in and they, penalize you for not staying on the platform, as opposed to Pinterest sending you, like you said, on your way to get the information that you need. So in that way, it truly shows that it is a search engine. It's not social media.
Yes. And a really cool fun fact about Pinterest is that 97% of the brands that are on Pinterest are unbranded, meaning that, say, I were a sneaker company, it's an even playing field on Pinterest. Like, I'm not going up against the top leading sneaker companies. Like I'm not going up against
Right.
Nike and Adidas. And yes, they do have ads and yes, they do have content on there, but it's an even playing field because it's a search engine. It's really tapping into the keywords that you're using. And if you know your audience and you know the verbiage that your audience is using, then you're really going to be able to reach them and speak to them and get your content in front of them.
Okay, that makes sense. So, is there a particular thing that you should stay away from when you're doing your descriptions? So, like, yeah, I know like links on Facebook are not good. We've just talked about that part. But in Pinterest, is there something that like you should or shouldn't do when you're building your descriptions?
For sure. So I tell everybody that when you're doing your research, you want to make sure that you're speaking the way your audience is speaking. And
Mhm.
especially as a business owner, just the way, because I speak a certain way about my content, doesn't necessarily mean that that's how my audience is searching. So
Yes.
really do those ideal client surveys to really see the words that your clients are using or your audience is using, and utilize that in your pin descriptions. Also, because it's a search engine and it's its own entity, I really focus on doing my keyword research within Pinterest itself. So log into Pinterest. It's the best to do it in an incognito tab. So that way it doesn't take, because I mean, Pinterest is always learning from you as the user because they want to
Right.
know what you're searching for. So when using an incognito tab, you're really able to really see what people are searching for. So in the search bar at the top, search the topics that you're writing content about or your podcast is about or whatever you're putting out, and see what pops up. See what drops down on that menu. And those are the words and phrases that are being searched. So incorporate that into your descriptions. And yes, pin descriptions are mostly for the computer to really gauge how to put or who to put your content in front of,
Hmm.
but you also want to write it as a person is actually reading it. So don't like keyword stuff it, but you can use those keywords in a way and within sentences that's going to be picked up on the computer, but also not really like you want to you would still want to sound inviting to your content.
Right.
You don't want to just be like blips and phrases of words and things like that. That's going to get you in front of the right people. You really want to write it as somebody's going to read it.
Exactly. So when you're doing all of this and you're using these keywords that you've obviously searched, following your method, how do you make yourself stand out? Because it seems like you see all of these pictures and it becomes a hodgepodge. How do you make yourself stand out so that people notice you and take action?
For sure. So, first off, I definitely would say that when you're creating your pins, your graphics, you want to make sure that your pins are branded. So, I want to see your branding colors. I want to see your logo. I want to see your website, your URL. And that's like, I generally do just your website main page URL because it will link back to whatever specific content that you're searching for or that you're clicking to. Um, because you want to show that you're a brand. Also, it's a way for people not to be able to steal your content as well, your graphic. But also be authentic to you. Don't try to fit into a mold that you think that your audience is wanting. Be authentic to you, and
Hmm.
also really. It's your chance because it's a visual search engine. It's your chance to really showcase your content with that graphic or that picture, that stock photo. So it could be a photo of you, if say like if you're a dog trainer, it's a photo of you and a dog working together. Or if you're a business coach, then maybe it's like you're showing a person on a computer that's like super excited because they've reached that goal that they're working toward. And then lastly, and I know everybody loves a script font, but you want to make sure that your fonts are easy to read on your as your text
Yes,
overlay,
please.
because when like just think just like on Facebook, you're sitting there scrolling, your audience is scrolling. If they can't immediately see what you're talking about, then they're going to pass you by.
Yes.
So we all like fancy wording, but to be honest, simple fonts and simple straight to the point phrases on your pins are what's going to get you clicked because they're like, oh, I need that. or like I don't have time to sit here and try to decipher what the
Right.
title of this pin is. So because just think, yes, you have a title for your pin, but it's very small. People are not looking at that. People are looking at that graphic. So make your graphic grabbing your audience's attention. And also with Pinterest, because you're able to grab those analytics, the data, you're really able to see that, okay, so for my clients, I put out for one blog post, I'll put out 7 to 10 pins for that one blog post. So I'm
Wow.
able to really create different pins and see what my audience is gravitating towards, because I'm not going to waste time and create a pin that people aren't clicking on, or the aesthetic of that pin. So
Hmm.
I'm really able to take that data and be like, okay, well, the audience really likes my first 3 pins that I put out, but not necessarily the second 2. So I'm going to make more pins that are geared towards the aesthetic of the first 3. So that way I can reach a broader audience and reach a wider audience. So you're really able to do a deep dive into your analytics to really see what your audience is liking and what they're not liking.
Oh, I love that. But I have a question now, because for one blog post, you're doing 7 pins, and that's going to overwhelm some people. So how do you reconcile that? Like, okay, this is worth it to do these 7 pins as opposed to just going and posting on Facebook.
So, what I suggest you doing is when you're first starting out, create yourself, take the time in the beginning. Yes, things do take longer in the beginning, just like anything else. But once you
Hmm.
get into the flow of it, it's super streamlined. So make yourself some pin graphics, or buy some pin graphics if you find some that you like, and really start to play with that to where then you're just plugging and playing. You're plugging in a new title or text overlay, and you're plugging in a new photograph, because all of your pins are already branded with your color, branded with your logo and your email or your website. So it's just kind of a plug and play after that. Now, yes, up front, it takes a little bit of time to get through that, but that's okay, because you're still learning your audience as well on Pinterest. So you might be having to tweak some things here or there in your first few months to see what's really kind of generating traffic to your website.
Okay. So when you're using these graphics and you're creating these 7 pins, do you use the same title on every single pin, or just the
Perfect.
keywords, or what does that look?
So I use the same description, but I changed the title to pinpoint different keywords, because then that's another way that you can kind of see if your keywords are working for you as well. So I saw that mentoring was a big word with these pins, but not necessarily new business owner or something like that. So you're really able to kind of it helps you pinpoint where
Love
what
that.
words are being used. And also it helps the computer as well, because you might have people that are looking for a specific word in one audience, and then another audience might be looking for a different word. Because a lot of times what I've seen with clients is they're trying to target a specific audience, but that's not necessarily who they're reaching. So you're really able to
Oh,
show yourself or show your client that yes, you're reaching people, but it's not the audience. So now you're able to take that and continue what you're doing, because you still want to reach that audience, but now you can say, okay, let's do a little bit of a deep dive and see what keywords I could use to reach the actual audience I'm looking for. So that way that helps you broaden your searchability to your ideal audience.
that's awesome. I absolutely love that. You can get so much information and do such a deep dive with Pinterest that you can't do on any other social media platform. Like you said, this is not a social media platform. It is an actual search engine. It is going to give you data that you can use. And by doing these 7 pins, it sounds like A, B, C, D, E, F, G testing, with all of your blog posts to see what's going to reach your audience, what's not. So, going forward, how to shift and adjust to meet the needs of your audience, which I think is absolutely awesome.
Yeah. And it really just helps you streamline because once you've gotten into a month or a few months, I would say give yourself 3 months to really kind of get the computer or the AI to really learn what you're doing in Pinterest. And
Hmm.
then you're really able to do that deep dive into your analytics. You're able to see if your keywords are working, you're able to see what pins are getting clicks from Pinterest to your website. And you're really able to see like who and what who is saving your content.
Yeah. Um, so I want everybody to like really pay attention to that. It's not an overnight thing, which, Mackenzie said from the very beginning. Um, 3 months, give yourself the time. So you may not get the numbers that you're looking for, right at the beginning, but give yourself some time and you'll start to pick up momentum. And as you pick up that momentum, it's like a snowball. It's going to start working in your favor, but don't give up just because you're not seeing results at the very beginning.
Because, and then speaking to that, so think of this. So, Facebook, your post lasts 24 hours. Instagram, your post lasts 48 hours. TikTok, it immediately starts to diminish. With Pinterest, you have 4+ months. And that's if it's not getting much traction. That's if it's not being
Right.
seen regularly. So just think you're able to add 4 months of visibility to your content without having to create new content. All you're doing is creating that graphic. And so you're not having to add another, you're not writing a blog post and then having to write another post that goes with that blog post to get people to that blog post. You know what I mean? So you're just creating that visual to really draw in your audience.
I love that. So here's one question that, you know, everybody always asks me. Is there a tool to make this easier? And I know, big names would be like Hootsuite or Tailwind. What do you suggest? Do you even recommend using these tools?
For sure. So ultimately, Pinterest wants you to use their platform. So when I create new pins, I actually schedule within Pinterest, and you can
Okay.
schedule 2 weeks in advance with Pinterest. So from there, then I actually utilize Tailwind because Tailwind is the most, I mean, yes, it has its quirks and its kinks and things like that, but it is the most robust scheduler that you have. So, or that's out there that I've found. And they actually are integrated with Pinterest itself. So once I create and schedule new pins or fresh pins on Pinterest, then 21 days later, 14 days later, I give myself 2 to 3 weeks in between. And then I go in and schedule them to other boards using Tailwind. And then it just does it for me. So I'm able to take that one pin and schedule it to 3 or 4 other boards, and it sends it out every 21 days. So I'm filling my content with my evergreen, like I'm filling my Pinterest with my evergreen content because it's continuously recycling, and then still putting out that fresh content every 2 weeks.
Awesome. Okay. So that makes sense because then you've always got a workflow that's going and it just makes it super simple to create yourself a routine that you like begin not to even have to think about. You just create yourself a habit.
Yeah. And also Tailwind is great for um seasonal content. So like if you're a teacher, if you're doing teacher resources, you can schedule your past back to school content in
Mm,
you know, June, July, August. So that way it's filtering through your past content, but also you're putting in that new content that you have that is in regard to that season as well. So you're really able to push your evergreen content out without having to like recreate the wheel.
and that's the name of the game. Make it
Right.
all easy. Don't
Yes.
recreate the wheel, but make it work for you. Um, First, I would like to thank you so much for joining me. Can you tell everybody where they can find you?
For sure. So you can find me on my website is armstrongvirtualsolutions.com, and you're able to book a call there if you want to chat through if Pinterest is the best avenue for you. And then also you can find me on Facebook and LinkedIn, both under Armstrong Virtual Solutions. And we can definitely we can start chatting there to really see if Pinterest is where you want to take your business and get your content in front of a larger audience.
Awesome. Is there something that you recommend that people do before they come talk to you?
Before Before they come talk to me? No, not necessarily. I would just say that if before you start your Pinterest journey, you definitely want to do that keyword research and implement that on your actual profile itself, because that's going to give you more bang for your buck. So for speaking with me, no, we can definitely, I can help you. We can hash things out and see if that's the avenue you want to go. But if you're just going to DIY it and get into the nitty gritty of Pinterest, just make sure that you're utilizing those keywords everywhere that you can put text on your account. So your profile, your board descriptions, everything like that.
Perfect. Okay, so before we wrap up, even though I've already started the wrap up, I do have a question that I forgot to ask. How do people start to get their account ready, like to really maximize using Pinterest? This is like, we definitely need this part.
For sure. So, with your account itself, you want to make sure that with your business, so don't recreate the wheel. If you already have a Pinterest account, you can take your Pinterest account and turn it into a business account easily. It's just kind of like a flip of a switch. And then make sure that everything that your people, that your audience can see is business related. So it could be, it might not necessarily be something that you specifically talk about, but if your audience finds it informational for them, then you can add that content. So you just want to have boards that are geared towards the content that you're speaking to or that your audience would find useful, but also nothing that's conflicting or no competitors with yourself. You don't want to, you don't want to promote competitors' content on your pod or your Pinterest account. Make sure that you have boards that align with your business and that they're keyword rich in the title and the description as well. So I would just make sure that your keywords are everywhere and you're speaking the way your audience speaks and not necessarily how you speak.
Okay, so that's perfect. So that pretty much wraps up the entire conversation, but making sure that you have your business to stand out among all the others and don't compete with yourself on your own board. That's what I heard.
Yes.
I love that. Thank you so much for your time. I will make sure that all of this information is in the show notes so that people will be able to get in touch with you. Is there anything else that you want to add to the conversation?
Just that it's never too late to start Pinterest, even if you're very seasoned in your business or you're just starting out, it's never too late. Get your content out there because people want to read it and they want to hear it and they want to grow from you. So make sure that you are putting it out there.
Absolutely. So everybody, you can go get this information from the podcast website, which is systemshop.com. That's SHOPPE for shop. So systemshop.com. I will have that in the description. I will add that in there. And you'll be able to find all of the links to get to Mackenzie. If you are having any problems getting in touch with her, through the links that I have, please let me know. Sometimes there's a few technology things going on the website. But I want to make sure that you are reaching out to her so that you can get the information that you need to get started on Pinterest. I have found Pinterest to be one of the most valuable hidden gems that I long discounted because I didn't think it applied to me and my business. And once it did apply, it like really changed the game. So make sure that you're checking this information out, like, subscribe, do all of the things so that you can get more information as it comes forth. So thank you guys so much for joining us. Thank you, Mackenzie, again for joining me. This was absolutely wonderful.
Thank you so much.
All righty. Bye, guys.